Well, happy Sunday, guys, and welcome back. I'm glad that you are listening in once again to our kids' lesson together. We are continuing in our study in the book of Acts today. So if you want to have a Bible with you, you can flip to Acts chapter 9, because that's where we're going to be reading through today and going through that. Before we get started, let's go ahead and get stretched out a little bit to make sure that we're ready. Do this. Get your back stretched out and your arms a little bit. Maybe stretch your arms back. Woo. And across your front. Stretch. Move your fingers here. Stretch again. All right. Hopefully you're ready to go. We're going to have 3 songs that we're going to sing together. 2 of them are ones that we've done before, and then the final one is going to be a new one, and I'll just teach it to you. It's not real complicated, but it has to do a lot with our lesson and our story together this morning. So the first one is This Little Light of Mine, and so we're going to get our lights and make sure they're ready. And so we're going to hide it under a bushel. No, I'm not going to let Satan woof it out, blow it out, and then we're going to do the light. So you guys have done this before, so you know what we're doing here. All right, here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Won't let's see our nope. Hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now we won't let Satan blow it out. Won't let Satan it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Won't let Satan it out. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Next song is I Will Make You Fishers of Men. And if you want to just pretend you have a fishing rod and do that, that's absolutely okay. That would be a fun thing to do as well. I might do it. I don't know yet. So let's go ahead and sing I Will Make You Fishers of Men. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you follow me. If you follow me, if you follow me, I will make you fishers of men if you follow me. And remember, this is what Jesus is telling his disciples, to be fishers of men and to follow him. So let's sing this one more time. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you follow me. If you follow me, if you follow me, I will make you fishers of men if you follow me. All right, the next song that we have to do is about following Jesus, and it's a simple song that says, I have decided to follow Jesus. And it says that a few times, and then it says, no turning back, no turning back. All right, I'll sing it for us one time. If you know it, feel free to join in, and then we'll sing it together a second time. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. Hopefully you've got it. Why don't you go ahead and sing it with me? I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. Wonderful job, you guys. It's a great job singing. So glad that you're singing with me. So as we get ready to learn this morning, let's go ahead and get our brains turned on so we can learn about following Jesus and not turning back. And that's going to be the theme of our lesson, our story we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get our brains turned on this morning. So are we ready? Are your brains on? Are you ready to go? Okay, great. So before we get ready to get started, you got to tell us something fun that you did last week. Take a minute, turn to those next to you, tell them something fun you did last week, and we'll be right back. Fun! I hope you guys had a lot of different fun stuff that you could talk about, things that you were able to tell people, fun that you did. Something fun that I did last week, we got to go to a birthday party for our friend called Greg, who's 1 year old, one of Ava's friends, and he had his first birthday, and so it was fun to go to get to be at his party. And so today, we're going to start by talking about our memory verse really quickly. Our memory verse is, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. And that comes from Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. And so what this verse is really all about is loving God with everything in us, with our heart, our soul, our strength, giving everything that we have to Jesus, and loving God with everything that we have. And so that's what we're going to find in our story today. It's a story about a guy called Saul. It's a guy who was lost, but he meets Jesus and he's found. So as we get ready to get started this morning, I just want you to think for a moment about a time that you were lost. Go ahead and take a moment, tell someone about a time that you were lost. Maybe just tell them where you were lost. Think about that, and then we'll be right back together. So maybe that wasn't the funnest thing to talk about, because it's not fun being lost. It's not fun knowing where you are. And I remember one time when I was like 5 or 6 years old, we were at a shop, and I got separated from my parents, and I couldn't find them anywhere, and I had to find a security guard to help find my parents. It was so scary, and I was just so afraid and didn't know where my parents were. And in our story, there is a guy who is very lost. He's not just lost from his parents, but he's lost in the way that he's going. He's doing some wrong things. And so here's what we're going to find out. His name is Saul. So if you just want to say that with me, say Saul. Now, it's not like the saw that you cut wood with. This is S-U or S-A-U-L, not S-A-W. But his name is pronounced the same way. He's Saul. And here's what we find out about him. Meanwhile, Saul was uttering threats with every breath and was eager to kill the Lord's followers. So he went to the high priest. He requested letters addressed to the synagogues in Damascus, asking for their cooperation in the arrest of any followers of the way he found there. He wanted to bring them back, both men and women, back to Jerusalem. So this guy, Saul, he's very lost. Like, he is so lost that he actually wants to go and arrest followers of Jesus, because he doesn't believe Jesus is who he says he is. He doesn't believe that Jesus is God. He doesn't believe people are loving God with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength. He thinks they're loving someone else. Saul is lost. He's confused. But Saul doesn't stay lost, because somebody finds Saul. So in my story, when I was lost, I found a security guard who helped me find my parents. And it was the most excited I think I've ever been to see my parents. And I don't know who helped find you when you were lost, but I'm sure like you were so happy and so relieved when you were found after you had been lost. And so in our story, Saul is about to be found. And I have this torch in my hand. And it's usually when it's dark, it's pretty bright and that sort of thing. And I use it when I go outside and I need to see. When it's dark, you know what we would use a torch for. And in our story today, this guy Saul, he gets blinded by a bright light. And it's not a torch. No, in fact, it's a light from heaven. and he loses his sight. So let's read about this. As he approached Damascus on his mission, a light from heaven suddenly shone around him. So once again, it's not a torch, but a light from heaven shines around him. He falls on his face to the ground, saying, and then he hears a voice. So he's on the ground, he hears a voice, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" "Who are you, Lord?" Saul asked. And the voice replied, "I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting. Now get up and go into the city. You will be told what you must do." So, really quickly, who was it that found Saul when he was lost? Who was it? It's Jesus, right? So Jesus is the one who ends up talking to Saul. So Saul has been found. And he tells him, he says, "You're going to go into the city and you're going to do what I tell you to do." And so he is going to have to learn to be a follower. So what I want you to think about for just a second is, what makes a good follower? What is something that makes us someone who can follow well? So take a second and think about, like, what are some things that make someone a good follower? And then we will come right back. Welcome back. I hope you guys were able to think of some things that make someone a good follower. Some of the things that I thought of is, to be a good follower, we've got to be a good listener. Like, I can't follow the rules if I'm not listening to the rules. Another thing is being a good follower is we have to pay attention. And so if I'm following after someone, like, I can't be reading my phone or I can't be looking around. I have to be watching them to see what they're doing. And so those are a few things that would make a good follower, being a good listener, paying attention and looking around. And so we get a story. As Paul has been blinded, he's told to go and wait for Jesus to give him some instructions. There's a guy in our story. His name is Ananias. You want to say that with me? Ananias. Very good. And Ananias is a pretty good follower of Jesus. We find out about him in verse 10. There was a believer in Damascus named Ananias. The Lord spoke to him in a vision, calling, "Ananias." "Yes, Lord," he replied. The Lord said, "Go over to Straight Street to the house of Judas. When you get there, ask for a man from Tarsus named Saul. He is praying to me right now. I have shown him a vision of a man named Ananias coming in and laying hands on him so he can see again." "But Lord," exclaimed Ananias, "I've heard the many terrible things that this guy Saul has done when he was lost. He has actually come here to try to arrest people like me." And so this guy Ananias, he does have some questions. Like, God has told him to do some things, and he's got to be a good follower, but he's scared. He's afraid to go where God is calling him to go. And sometimes that's going to be the case, where God is going to lead us places that may be a little bit scary. But here's the good thing about God is we can trust him. We can trust that he has our best in mind. He wants what's best for us. And so Ananias, he does what he's supposed to do. In verse 17, it says that he goes and finds Saul. He puts his hands on him and he prays for him. Ananias is a good follower of Jesus because he does what he's told to do. He does, and he lives the way that he is supposed to live. He follows him even though it's scary. He decides, okay, this may be scary, but I'm going to love the Lord with all of my heart and all of my soul and all of my strength. To do that means I have to follow him even when I'm afraid. To love the Lord with all our heart and soul and strength means I have to give him everything even when I'm afraid. And so Ananias, he does. And so there's this guy, Saul, who's had this great light shine on him. And what has happened when this great light shines on Saul is it actually blinds him. So for 3 days, Saul can't see anything. It's completely dark. He can't see at all. And maybe you've been around when the electricity goes out at night and it is really, really dark. Maybe you've been into a cave, or maybe you've hidden under your blankets and closed your eyes for a game of hide and seek. Like, you know what it's like to be when it's dark. And for Saul, like, it is very dark. He can't see anything. He's actually blind for 3 days. But it's in those 3 days that Saul meets Jesus. It's in those 3 days where, even though he can't see outside, he can't see it around him, he actually sees God. And he sees God for the very first time. And when he does, he sees some things clearly. And what he sees is he is lost. What he sees is the way that he is going is not the right way to go. He sees some things that need to be changed in his life. And the cool thing for Saul is, like, Saul doesn't change himself. Saul doesn't just say, okay, I've got to do things differently. No. Once again, who did Saul meet on the road? It was Jesus. And so Jesus is the one who changes Saul. Saul doesn't change himself. Jesus changes him. And as he begins to love Jesus with all of his heart and soul and strength, his life begins to change. This is what we find out about Saul. This is what Jesus says. Saul is my chosen instrument to take my message to the Gentiles and to kings, as well as the people of Israel. Once Saul meets Jesus, everything changes in his life. Once he decides to follow Jesus, there's no going back for him. And that's the song that we just sang a few minutes ago. I have decided to follow Jesus, no going back, no turning back. And that's what it's like for Saul. And Saul doesn't want to change anymore. He wants to follow Jesus, and he wants there not to be no more change in his life because he only wants to follow Jesus. Jesus has changed him from this way that he was and has given him this great job and this great opportunity to tell people about Jesus. And so I just want you to think for just a minute about some things in your life that you do not want to change. So think about some things in your life that you don't want to change. Talk about that with the people next to you, and we'll come right back. All right, maybe some of the things you said that you don't want to change is you don't want to change your house. Or maybe you said you don't want to change your friends. Or maybe you don't want your siblings to change. Like, you want to keep your siblings with you. And those are all really great things. One thing I don't want to change about you is I don't want you to change wanting to come to church. I don't want you to change wanting to learn about God. I don't want you to change listening into our lessons and being a part of our stuff together. That's something I don't want you to change. I don't want your love for God to change. I want you to love him with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your strength. And that is something that Saul, in this moment, what he decides to do is give his whole life to Jesus, give his whole heart to God, and to allow God to change him from the person that he was into a new person. And once he was changed, he didn't want to change again. He wanted to stay fully committed to loving the Lord with all of his heart. So let's go ahead and practice our Bible verse together. I'm going to read it out loud a few times, and then we'll work on it together. So it's love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. All right, you ready to repeat after me? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Let's try that again. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. One more time. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. All right, way to go. So I'm going to cover a word and let you fill it in. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. Very good. With all your soul. That's right. And with all your strength. Wonderful job, guys. So just go ahead and read this with me. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength. And this is from Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. So say that with me. Deuteronomy 6, 5. One more time. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. Deuteronomy 6, 5. Let me pray for us and then we'll do a game together. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for your word. God, thank you that you love us. And God, I just pray that you help us to be like Saul, who was changed by you and then never wanted to change again, wanted to stay living for you with all of his heart, soul, and strength. God, help us to love you with everything that we have. God, help us to trust you and to be a good follower, even when it's hard, even when it's scary. God, thank you that you love us. Thank you that you found Saul and that you can find us. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, guys, so the game that we are going to play today is, I'm going to draw some things on the board, and you are going to guess them again. And so we've done this a few times, and hopefully you enjoy this part. And as soon as you guess, as soon as you think you know it, shout it out loud, and you can guess as many times as you want. If you get it wrong, that's perfectly okay. Just you can keep guessing. And so I've got 5 things that I'm going to try to draw, and we'll see how it goes. So we're going to pull this a little closer, and now we'll get ready to go. Here we go. All right, does anybody have any guesses what this is? All right, so this is supposed to be a ring. This is supposed to be a diamond, so a wedding ring. If you got that right, you're really good at this game because that wasn't the greatest drawing. Let's try another one. All right, we ready? That's not good. Let's try this again. Anybody have any guesses yet of what this is supposed to be? All right, so that's the sun, the sunshine. So maybe you got that to start with. It looked like somebody with crazy hair, but this is the sunshine. All right, let's try the next one. Anybody have any guesses yet what this is? All right, so that's supposed to be a race car. Hopefully we're able to get that one. Here's the next one. Any guesses yet? All right, so it's a turtle. So hopefully that looks a little bit like a turtle. Last one, here we go. These were a little easier to draw when I was trying them on paper earlier. So let's do this last one here. All right, anybody have any guess what that is? All right, it's supposed to be dice. So you've got the dice here. Hopefully you were able to get some of those. They weren't my best work, but hopefully you were able to guess a few of them. Once again, remember our memory verse: love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time.